Hello, it's dumplet here. Here's an item on counting. Take a look at this figure. We have a 4x4 grid of squares. How many squares are there in the figure? Pause this video if you'd like to give this item a try. But if you're done, let us dive into the solution. Now, a lot of you guys might say 16. It's a 4x4 grid of squares, so there might be 16 squares. But you guys probably have missed the following because, well, yes, there are 16 of those 1x1 squares, but we shouldn't forget the other possible squares. So for the 1x1 squares, it's pretty easy to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, because we have a 4x4 grid of squares. So for the 1x1 squares, there will be 16. Let's talk about the 2x2 squares. So there's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So for the 2x2 squares, there are 9 of them. Next, let's take a look at the 3x3 squares. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and that's 4. That's for the 3x3 squares. We have 4 3x3 squares. And then last one, we have the 4x4 square. Well, that's the entire grid, so we have 1. So 16 plus 9 plus 4 plus 1, that's going to give us a total of 30 squares. And this is indeed the final answer. Now we can move on further here because we notice how 16, 9, 4, and 1, those are pretty nice numbers. They are the perfect squares. And apparently for a 4x4 grid of squares, we use the sum of 4 squares. We take the sum of the 4 squares. So here, I'll give you a general formula for an n by n grid. That's just simply the sum of the first n squares. And that's equal to n times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 divided by 6. You can also use this formula to answer the previous question, where n equals 4, since we have a 4x4 grid of squares. So if I substitute n here as 4, it becomes 4 times 4 plus 1 times 2 times 4 plus 1, and that's going to give us 4 times 5 times 9 divided by 6. We can cancel out the 4 and the 6, making 2 and 3. We can cancel out the 9 and 3, leaving just 3 at the top. So we're essentially just doing 2 times 5 times 3, and that's going to give us 30 as a product as well. So whether you use the first method or the second method, we will get the answer of 30. Hopefully you guys learned something new from this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!